Welcome back, folks. My first guest tonight is the Emmy and Peabody Award-winning filmmaker behind When They See Us, 13th, Selma, and more. Please welcome Ava DuVernay. Hi, Ava.
Hello. Hi, Stephen.
Nice to see you again. Thanks for being here.
I'm glad to be here with you in your beautiful home.
Thank you very much. And you and your beautiful offices, I think?
Yes.
Oh, I love the color palette. All right. Now, you became friends with Congressman John Lewis while directing Selma. He meant a lot to a lot of people, to the world. What does his legacy mean to you?
Well, I don't even know if I'd say friends because I was always kind of genuflecting and bowing and just, I couldn't quite get myself together. We spent a lot of time together during the making of Selma, and he was instrumental in, my writing of that script and throughout production and post. And we presented it to the world together. And so we were able to spend a lot of time, and I was able to ask him questions about life, about the way that I should approach my work and think about it and history. And so I think my thought about his legacy is more about personal advice he gave me. And one of the things that he said to me that really has stuck with me in the last few days since his transition was I said, what do I do? I don't know what I was talking about. Congressman, what do I do? He said, Ava, do everything. I was like, do everything. What does that mean? He was like Yoda, do everything. And then he left. So I'm like, do everything. What does that mean? And so I've really been pondering that question of do everything. And, that the answer to that is what I'm striving to figure out. But that's one of the gifts that he left for me. And so on some days, do everything means one thing. On another day, it means something else. But it's kept me going. And I'm going to miss him.
Do you have any personal experiences, any stories of spending time with him that come to mind that you wouldn't mind sharing with us?
Goodness. Well, we were shooting a scene in Selma, and it was one of the few days that he came to the set because I'd worked with him in the writing of the script, asking him lots of questions, able to pick up the phone and ask him anything, anytime about Dr. King, about mannerisms, about everyone. And he said, I'm not going to come to the set. That's your area. That's like if you were coming into Congress with me. I don't want you there. You don't want me on the set. I said, Congressman, we're in Atlanta. This is your district. This church is right in please come. So he comes on this one day. And it is a day that started beautifully. David Oyelowo is giving this incredible speech in the church. He does the rehearsal, and John Lewis is in tears because he's so moved and he feels like he's back to that time and place.
Wow.
About to call action on the rehearsal. I'm about to call action, and there's a lightning strike and a flash storm that happens. And it's so loud that we can't shoot because you can hear the rain. So we don't roll. And John Lewis said, I've got to go. And I said, oh, come. This is please. I really want you to see this scene. You were crying just moments ago. Let me do this. And he's like, no, you know what? Me and thunderstorms don't mix. That thunder, that lightning means that in 4 minutes, there's going to be a torrential downpour more than this. I got to go. I said, but Congressman Lewis, there's no way you're going to make it to where you're going. Before I finish where you're going, his little body is out the door and gone. Cut to, he's afraid of thunderstorms. Didn't know.
Wow. After everything he's gone through.
Everything he's gone through, thunder and lightning, his aides were like, no, we're leaving. We've got to go. So he left, and he, when he watched at the premiere, he's like, that's how it ended. That worked out. Did you know it was raining that day? He was great. He was a funny guy. And
Did he give you any advice, like when you're actually, when he's walking across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, you go like, the overcoat wasn't quite like that. That wasn't the backpack I was wearing.
Ever. They were all so gracious. Reverend C.T. Vivian, who we just
lost.
Was just one of my favorite out of all of the superheroes. And I know that when he came, because he was there the day that we shot the bridge crossing, I know he was probably like, yeah, that, I don't know. But they were the most elegant, gracious, classy men, and gave me nothing but support and love.
I understand that you toured the Oval Office with President Obama and John Lewis, along with some other leaders there. What was that like?
Oh, gosh. Well, this is the part. And I just think about the White House now, and I think about, I'm so grateful I had the experience of being there. because we were invited to bring Selma to the White House to be in the screening room to screen it. And then afterward, there was going to be a little reception in the, I don't even know the names of all the rooms, the one with George Washington hanging on the thing. And it was a fancy affair. And my mom and my father, who's since passed, were there. It was a proud, proud day for me.
Oh, that's extraordinary.
There, and Obama says, "Want to see the Oval Office? Want to see the Oval?" You're like, "Are you talking to us?" Yes, we would like to see the Oval. Strolls us into the Oval. He says, "Hey, folks, just one thing, Valerie and the gang gets really worked up if we take pictures in here. So just be cool, no pictures." Of course, I had a cast member who we were all having dinner the next night, had the contraband video that I have kept under. I said, "Give it to me. How dare you have done that?" He said, "Don't do it." I confiscated the video. Stephen, that's how much of a director I am. Give it to me. They give me the video, and I literally keep it under lock and key. And it was not until Congressman's passing that I said, "Oh God, I remember that. Let me look at it." And it's long. It's a lot of things happen, but I posted a little snippet of when President Obama shows John Lewis some memorabilia from the March on Washington that he had framed in the Oval. And it shows that John Lewis was the last living speaker, the last person still alive at that time who had spoken at the March on Washington. For most people, that's the I Have a Dream speech day.
Sure.
So it was a very touching moment. So I decided to post it as a tribute to him. And what a proud thing for him to be able to walk into the Oval of President Obama. All he'd experienced to give
to have given that speech at age 23.
I mean, really? That's what you just
no,
want to be.
No pressure on the rest of us, please.
Because by the time he'd gotten there, he'd already done so much. So yeah, no pressure to the rest.
Now, your doc 13th was released in 2016, but in the last few weeks, it's been one of Netflix's most watched programs.
Yeah.
And I understand for the rest of the month, you can stream it for free on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Is that true?
It's true. I think they're doing it for the rest of the summer for folks to find out. I think, after a lot of the, racial reckoning that was instigated by the vicious murder of George Floyd, that folks were searching for, some grounding, some context. And, I'm fortunate and glad that 13th was available for people. So.
Well, it's a powerful documentary. Is there, in its own right and from its own time, is there anything in the last 4 years that has happened you go, oh, I would change that documentary slightly, or I would add this or that of the last 4 years? Is there anything that changes you as a director in the last 4 years that you look back and go, oh, I would like to do this with that documentary now?
It's a great question. No, I look at the doc and I feel like there should be another one that goes further, it just really interrogating the moment that we're in with the current president. And so when I watched 13th, I wish I could make another one right now. 13th was made in secret. No one knew we were making that film. It just debuted at the New York Film Festival as the opening night. And folks were like, what? Is this a doc about prison? So it really came out of nowhere. So I've been toying with the idea of making something else about another amendment that has to do with presidents being bad.
You've got a lot of material. Got a lot of material these days. The film deals a lot with the idea that law and order becomes a rallying cry for certain politicians, and Trump is using that to define his presidency right now. He already used it, but he's really leaning very hard on it in his attempt to get reelected. What should people know about the historical context of that phrase is a political tool and an idea of control?
Yeah, it's a page from a very old playbook. That's why the fact that folks are falling for it just feels so pedestrian. And I hear it right now, and it's so defanged for me. And I hope that is what 13th does. It kind of takes the fangs out of that language. Really, it speaks to the criminalization of Black people. The idea that, and the growth and the maturation of the idea that Black people are inherently criminals, who need to be controlled through mechanisms of social control that are most prominent in the criminal justice system, prison and incarceration systems. And so, there's just a lot to know there. Once you know it, then you hear those words differently, and you know that they're a dog whistle for, a certain brand of thinking that is steeped in, an absence of justice. And so, like I said, we drill down into that in 13th. We go through the history, and we do, a sequence where we're really just showing that Trump is really mirroring these old ideas in ways that are pretty basic, yet desperately violent, and so emotionally violent. And so folks just have to educate themselves. It's not going away. This is the thing. It's not going to stop. He's not going to stop. He's going to lean into it because there's certain people who hear it and are activated by it. And so we have to be the ones who hear it and are able to neutralize it within ourselves. And so it's just important that people pick up books, then read. But if you don't want to do that, I took all the books and I put it in one primer. It's an old movie called 13th that's playing for free on YouTube. Check it out.
But you've started a new initiative called the Law Enforcement Accountability Project. What is that?
It's called LEAP. Yep, Law Enforcement Accountability Project, leapaction.org. And it was my rage at the George Floyd tapes. Like I said, I'm used to watching a lot of this footage, but something about the George Floyd murder really knocked me to my knees, and I had to ask myself, what was different about this? And for me, it was bearing witness to that officer looking right into the camera as he murdered him, as the man begged for his life, as people around him begged for his life. And I realized, I'm not used to seeing the officer straight to the camera. That's why this is affecting me. Usually it'll be obscured by some grainy surveillance footage or on a body cam where the officer is behind the camera. And so there's something about the direct framing of him that led me to think, wow, I never see these officers who kill unarmed Black people. And wow, where are they and what are their names? And so LEAP is basically saying, we don't believe that police unions are holding bad cops accountable. We don't see courts holding these cops accountable. We, the people, as taxpayers, can do it. And as artists, we're doing it by making sure that they cannot disappear, that we see them, that we know their names, that we know where they are, and that we understand that we're not allowing them to kind of recede behind this blue wall of silence. So basically, it's a fund that funds work by artists of different disciplines about raising awareness about officers who have committed crimes against Black people. So often we say the names of the victims, and their names should be known, but we can't allow these officers to slip away and disappear. And so that's what LEAP was about.
Well, I mean, since this is your intention of this organization, now, how do you react to the president sending in federal shock troops, shall we call them, with no identification, hauling people without probable cause into unmarked vans to take them who knows where?
It's jaw-dropping. The thing that's been challenging for me is kind of the lack of press coverage, as this is the number one story. I mean, I know we're in the middle of a pandemic and there's a lot happening, but it has just felt to me like there has not been the kind of outrage and response, and the outrage is going to come from the coverage of it. And so I turn on every single network. I'm looking at everything, and this is not the first story or the second story or the third story, that American citizens are being taken in unmarked vans by, people who knows who they are, dressed in military attire with military grade weapons. I mean, we've seen the video. I've seen it on social much more than I'm seeing it in the press. Why do you think that is? Why is this not getting covered in that way?
I don't know. Because I haven't seen it much either after the initial times. I assume it's still going on because those troops are still in Portland.
Absolutely, and expanding into other states. So I just have to say, and I'm so happy that you're asking about it and that we're talking about it. There's something happening in Portland that Trump has said will be duplicated in other states and other cities. Folks have already been dispatched in these cities, federal officers, and this is serious. This is at the very core of what we all say. I mean, this is not even a Republican Democrat issue. This is what our country has supposedly gone into other countries to fight against.
Well, in the Federalist Papers, it says, to paraphrase, If someone can pop a bag over your head and take you away without cause, you have no other rights.
Amen. Well, that's where we are. And
Well,
like it should be more top of mind for us. I'm so glad you asked about it and that you're talking about it.
well, I'm so glad you were here. Thanks so much for being here, Ava.
What a happy, cheerful segment we've had.
Well, we matched the times. We matched the times.
See.
Her documentary, 13th, is available for free on YouTube, and you can learn more about the Law Enforcement Accountability Project at leapaction.org. Ava DuVernay, everybody. Thanks so much, Ava.
Stephen.
We'll be right back.